Well, it's like I try to say every week here. It's all about finding this space of our being and realizing what that really is, and realizing I really want to live from that or as that. And that's it. There's nothing to understand, nothing to learn, nothing to wait for. So I try again every week to try to share, where this has gotten me in a space that just stays fundamentally pretty happy and easy living, and I can't really imagine much of anything that would throw me too much for a very long time. And, it's like this is a space that's in all of us, and we can become that space. And it has nothing to do with believing in anything or, when we talk about transformation, it's only about letting go of those kind of thoughts about ourselves that were ugly or whatever, but it's not about even us changing. We are this awesome being, and it's just recognizing it and deciding to live as if that were true until we experience that it is true. So it brings to mind Richard Bach from Illusions, kind of paraphrase on it, but it was, he says, have you ever considered trying to live your life as if you were intelligent? And the thing is, our being has an intelligence, and we know it does. Why don't we go there first for everything? Before we make any decision, before we talk to anybody, before we interact with anybody. And that's what that, kind of jab in the story, but that's what that's pointing at. Why don't we do that? So, and that is part of where the transformation takes place, is realizing where I don't go there first and where I just would rather hang out and roil in the stuff or fight myself instead of, all right, let me just get to my good solid peace where I like myself first. Then I'll think about this, and it is so simple. That's the only practice that really is.
Or maybe you do go there first and then you doubt it and you get caught in that self-doubt.
Yeah, that too. And that's, again, where we need to learn the value of that space in us to ourselves, as well as seeing what it does for the world around us. But until we value it above the achievements or the goals of our mind, we don't give it enough credibility, and so we don't become certain of it. And it's like, well, yeah, I know that. I can trust in that place. And this is an area where I see things often get twisted. It's like, well, I have faith in God. And what I'm doing is I'm throwing my attention away. What's God? Instead of saying, no, I'm going to stay centered in my peace and awareness and go through this experience from there. Now I'm involved. Now I'm in conscious awareness. If I want to call that help of my higher self God, that's okay. But I have to make the fundamental decision. I'm going to stay in awareness of my better self, of my being. I can do that. Now, let's go and see how this turns out with that in action. So we just keep trying when it doesn't come easy. And like Susie pointed out, we very often get there and then slip out again, whether we're there for a day or a minute. It doesn't matter. What we want to do is develop faster and faster ways to get back to it, and then learn to hang there longer and longer. So,
yeah, and I feel like sometimes when we feel like I want to give this to God, it's those moments when we're thinking too hard with our thinky thoughts, and we just kind of need to let go of that in order to slip into that peace.
Yeah.
And that's when the higher awareness or the God consciousness or whatever we want to call it has room to make itself known.
Yeah.
So I feel like there is sometimes value in, just letting it go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to play with that a little bit more here. Thank you. So I just want to take a couple minutes now, kind of like a mini guided meditation. Just let your mind float, and however you want to do that. Somewhere in us, and I look for it in the area of my chest, there's just a sense of I am, I exist. This is life. And as you try to just allow yourself to experience that, your mind might try to bring up all kinds of self-judgments or definitions. And it's helpful to be able to just briefly dismiss it gently and say, no, I am not my body, although I have one. I am not my past. I am not my thoughts. I'm not my experiences. I just am, without anything, like just air in the middle of the sky, that kind of just I exist as life. And I can feel that, and it feels good. It's like that I can't argue with. That me feels good because I'm not referencing it to anything. And that is really the core of our state of being. That is us as our real self, and as spirit, if you will. And that is the place of peace and love that we learn to live from more and more. Acknowledge that feeling of I am, I exist, I like me, I like existing. It feels good. And then just enjoy how good it feels. And if you can't seem to bring that up immediately, ask your higher awareness or whatever you call that, help me, get me there. I want to experience that state. This is the one state that is a fundamental and common reference for everything else in life. I have to know what that is. I want to know. And I want to learn more about it. Show me. So that establishes our reference point. Try to make a marker in your mind if you touch that, or at least got a glimpse of where that is in you. And make a marker that you want to go there deeper, more often, stay there longer. And realize that all the practices we do, like meditation and being present, are just things to do to try to be in that space and hang out there longer instead of returning to our mind or our reactive emotions. That is the real me, that space that feels like that. Okay. We so underestimate the power of that space. We think we have to still keep our brain engaged to solve problems, or our emotions, we have to tend to them to make them feel better. And if we go there first, the brain will come up with ideas that are effective for dealing with the world. If we go there first, our emotions will be brought to peace. But it's always our attempt to get ourselves peaceful or right first before we go there. And it's like we can catch that device in the mind. It doesn't matter if I've just been totally being a complete asshole just now. Oh, where's my peace? Let me go there and change that up. Instead of feeling guilty or ashamed or whatever, and then I got to wait 3 days till I get over that before I can get back to my peace or my idea of being connected to God. So watch that device and just always head for that space. I like me. It feels good to be me. I like existing. All right, now what do I want to do with that? And we resume living in this world. Well, the other thing I want to point out with this space is you can actually feel that good. Like, that good is good. I do like me when I'm in that. And does everyone know that feeling of good? Have you touched that? That is real love. And it's helpful to know that because we have misinterpreted love to the max. I mean, we've completely reversed it. And so what is hateful we call loving, and what is loving we call weak and pathetic. There's so many things in our mind that block our awareness of real love. But when we feel that space of, I like me, it just feels good. Yeah. That is the state of love. Now when we can turn that outward and feel the same way towards another, like, yeah, I just like you being you. You're awesome, dude. You know? That is loving. It's not necessarily doing anything at all for them. It's not about providing answers or food or entertainment or happiness or anything. It's that state of feeling the goodness I am and then extending that feeling so I feel it in you and as you. That's really a summary of what Jesus taught. You know, when they asked him what the first commandment was. Above all else, love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul, all your strength. Our only connection to God is the life we are. Our ideas about God, our beliefs about God, are not a connection to God. In fact, for the most part, they keep us separated from the life force because we're busy thinking about our belief and we're not in here feeling. When we're in that state of, I like me and it is really good, that is knowing God, because that life of whatever God is the same life I am. That is loving God with all my heart, mind, strength, and soul. And then he says, like unto it, or the same thing as that. Now turn it outward and love your friggin' neighbor as you love yourself that way. See, it's like, if you speak in Old English, it makes it spiritual. But he was talking very, very practically to these people about this stuff. And he says, on this one thing hangs all the other laws and teachings of all the prophets forever. Like, everything is dependent on this. See, it's always about back to that space of being awareness. And all the big guys taught that. So I need to make it my priority. I need to want to let my ideas be transformed so that when I have an impulse to be loving, I first go there and get clear in love, and then look out from that state and say, what does this situation really need or want me to do? And it can vary to great extremes. In one moment, you'll feel like doing everything you can physically to help. And in another situation, you'll just say, well, have a good day, and walk away. It's not about adopting any kind of rules or plans for loving. It's about always getting to that space and genuinely feeling it for yourself and for the other, and then seeing what you want to do from there. And that is getting guidance. That is actually the only clear place we can get guidance from. Our higher mind will attempt to give us guidance in a lower way by impinging thoughts on our brain. And if we won't listen to that, it'll throw roadblocks in front of us to make us turn the right way. But that's a very low level of guidance. When we go to love and be in love with our world and our fellow beings, now we're the pure channel of the Source's life, and it guides through us, through who we are. What do I want to do from being in this state? And once there, it's 100% certain. And again, as Susie pointed out, you'll go there, it'll be crystal clear, and you'll either do it or not, because you've already started doubting yourself. And afterwards, you will certainly second guess yourself a number of times, a few thousand times maybe. But again, this stuff is practical, and I urge keeping a record. If you need to, keep a journal. And it's like, oh yeah, I tried this today in this situation, and I saw this happen. And write it down, because the mind will convince you to forget you ever did that within an hour or two. And a little while later on, you're going to be all anxious or pissed off about something else, and it's like that never happened. What happened this morning? But we need to constantly validate our awake experiences for a while until they become the norm. And so do yourself a favor. Pay attention. When you go to your being, feel that, yeah, I like me. And you actually get a little twinge of that, and I like you too. Imagine that. Then see what happens. Pay attention and record it by consciously observing it. Like your example with your mom of being all happy for a minute in the childlike state. That was a perfect example. Where it's like, just for that moment, I'm in the joy of being, so are they, and we're in that moment of joy together. That's all we really need. Now, if we can just get every moment to there with everybody, we'll be good, and the world will be good. So, that's it. Thanks, guys.
Woohoo! Yay! That felt good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody's all so pieced out. We're just like, here.
That's okay. I'm not really learning from anything I'm saying here. It's the space creates awareness within, and you get your own from within during this time. And that's the real stuff. You may not hear yourself till later on or tomorrow, but it's there. And again, if you find you can't get there yourself, call me up, and I'll plug you in. I will not analyze your problems with you. I will not propose solutions for you, but I will help you get to your peace real fast. And then you can find those things on your own. So, but just call, and in a couple minutes, most of the time, we can drop into just the peace of our being and share that for a little bit on the phone, and then you're good to go. So I do like doing that. We'll warn you, though, as you begin to learn to keep that space in sight while you're doing your day-to-day living events, you're going to tend to be quite a bit sillier and laugh a lot more often, and probably be worried for a little while if everybody thinks you're going nuts. But it'll be fun. Well, the mind always has some objection or defense against peace. It doesn't. Eventually, it does finally learn that going to peace does produce the better solution. And after that, we're not fighting our own mind any longer. So I do like to reaffirm that. There is this process of transformation, but there is an end to that. And after that, yeah, stuff comes up, but you recognize instantly this is still an old thing to be transformed. But I don't lose my peace or get afraid in the process anymore. And it doesn't mess up my world while it's there for transformation either. So it does get easier and easier as this goes on. Don't let your mind tell you it's an eternal process. Religion likes that because they can get a paycheck from you every week to keep it going. But awakening doesn't do it that way. It actually brings us to a sustained, aware, awake state. And we get to live there. Pretty easy. Much easier than we lived in the other one. Cool. Thoughts?
I guess I've been really caught up in my thoughts lately, the past couple of days. Well, I went home for break. For Easter break. And I only got to meditate once.
Yeah.
Maybe that was a part of it. I don't know, all these thoughts came up about my path for my life. Where am I going to be in 10 years? What's my career going to look like? And I don't know that, I guess. I don't know what my passion is.
Yeah.
And that's me trying to cope with that, kind of hard, I guess. But I feel like it's just supposed to come to me at some point.
Yeah. And the more you can sit in peace and just say to your inner self, show me, instead of demanding something instantly, the more accurate and smooth that'll come to you.
Right.
Yeah.
With the thoughts of that, came all these other thoughts. Oh, I'm stressed out about this, that, other thing, about schoolwork, and I don't know. I gotta get away.
Yeah.
And I gotta find my inner peace.
Yeah.
I was just because that one thing set off all these other things.
Yeah.
Gotta get back to that.
Yeah. And that's it. It's once we open the gateway to the mind by letting it take the lead with any thought, then it's got everything going again. It's like throwing stuff up all over the place. And more we learn to recognize when it's suggesting we give control back to it, like, oh, you need to worry about this. And if we agree, we go into it. I don't know how else to put it, but I like to say we go into its thinking and we're trapped in its thinking because we think, oh yeah, this is true. This is who I am. I have to figure this out, blah, blah. And we get caught in it. And then what you're saying is I got to get back to just being. Now I can look at that thought and say, yeah, well, at some point I'm going to have to do something, but right now, what year are you in school?
I'm a sophomore.
You got, 2 left?
2 more years.
Okay.
At least.
So, nothing probably is going to need to be changed before the end of this semester. So, no need to panic till then.
Yeah.
And if you decide at the end of this semester, I like where this is going, I'm going to go, or I'm going to change it this way, then you've decided from being, so you don't need to panic then. And it's like you just feed yourself peace in smaller steps. And it's like, you'll know when it's time. If you get up.
I feel like I'll just have this feeling.
Yeah, you will.
And I'll know.
You will.
Instead of just thinking that I know.
And in the meantime, it's guiding you through what will be useful. It will make use of these classes you're taking and the experiences you're having, including this coming to this group. But it uses all that to set your life up for you. And then when it's set up, it says, oh, boy, now I suddenly feel like I want to go examine this or look in that. And lo and behold, you're now prepared to do that where you wouldn't have been a year ago or 2 years,
Yeah.
And you just begin to trust it's always setting you up with what's at hand. And if there was something that really needed to be changed, you'd have that thought, like, man, I really got to, this class is useless. I got to drop that line. That's not where I'm going to go. But maybe but it would be urgent. It would be clear to you.
Yeah.
So
It's funny though. That's what my mom said too. Because she said she would know too.
yeah,
Just by looking at me like,
Yeah.
this isn't for you. You should go another way. But like I would know the same thing.
yeah,
Yeah. It's like it's just a feeling.
right. And she's right. When you're joined in love with somebody, you can read that real easy with them. Like, oh, you're going against yourself there, and you may not know the details for them, but if they're battling or piecing. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.